Go.
When you solve an equation, it is possible that you might get one solution. It is possible that you might get more than one or many solutions. And it is also possible that you might not get a solution at all. And so in this lesson, we are going to solve these equations, and we are going to identify whether or not there is one solution, many solutions, or no solution. So we're going to start with problem number 2. Problem number 2 is an equation in which the variables are on both sides. So we are going to get the variables together on one side and the numbers together on the other. So we would start by subtracting 2x from each side of the equation. By doing that, we will be left with the number 9. 5x minus 2x is 3x. The 2x minus 2x is 0. That becomes eliminated from the problem. And we are left with the number 9 on the right. Now we want to get our numbers together, so we want to move this 9 onto this side. Well, to eliminate this 9, we would have to subtract 9 from both sides. 9 minus 9 would be 0, so it's eliminated from there. We are left with 3x, and 9 minus 9 over here would be 0 as well. Our next step then would be to divide by 3. And when you divide 0 by any number, you are going to get 0. So our answer to this equation is that x is equal to 0. This is an example of an equation that has one solution. There is one number that works, and the number is 0. So when you solve an equation in which you come up with just one value for the variable x, that is an equation in which there is one solution. In our next example, when we begin to solve this one, we would want to get the variables together on the same side. So we would start by subtracting 6x. What happens when we do that is that the variable is eliminated entirely from the problem. 6x minus 6x would be 0, so they cancel out and I'm left with the number 1. 6x minus 6x would be 0, so they're eliminated and I'm left with negative 8. What happens is I have a statement which is impossible. Okay? Positive 1 can never equal negative 8. We say that it's a false statement. We can say that it's impossible to have. But this would be an example of an equation in which there would be no solution, because the variables get eliminated and we are left with something that numerically is impossible to have. So because there is no value for x that would ever make that true, we have no solutions to this equation. The next problem that we're going to take a look at has a distributive property in it, so we would start by distributing the 3. 3 times x would be 3x. 3 times 4 would be 12. Because there's a subtraction sign here, we put a subtraction sign there. And we leave our right-hand side as it is. The next step in our solving equations would be to get the variables together. So we would subtract 3x from each side of the equation. And what happens is the 3x minus 3x is 0, so it gets eliminated. We're left with negative 12. 3x minus 3x is 0. It gets eliminated. We're left with negative 12, and our equal sign is in between. Now we have a statement which is always true. And what this tells us is that any number could be substituted in for x, and it will always work. So this is an example of an equation that has many solutions, because our number sentence at the end is what we call an identity. And so all values for x would work in that equation, and so it has many or infinitely many solutions.